I'm Maeve Ashton and I'm joined today by Clonmel's very own Jamie Driver and Evan Hickey from The Bunker and Debunked fame. I had the pleasure of having the guys on my podcast in recent months, so I'm delighted to be speaking to them again today as part of Applefest 2020.
Thank you very much. We're really excited about doing this again. The last time we were on the podcast, it was kind of weird. We didn't get to see face to face, so we've been talking about it for a while now. We're really happy to get to roll it out again and kind of update everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a few months and we're delighted to be here in person with you, as Evan said, and just, I suppose, go through what you have to speak and have a good chat.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, I think everyone at Clonmel is very familiar with you at this stage, but for anyone who is tuning in who might not know you guys, Jamie, could you give us a little bit of background about The Bunker and Debunked? What can people expect when they come to your businesses?
Yeah, I'll do a little bit on The Bunker and I'll leave Evan chat about Debunked, since I know that's what he would have said. I suppose The Bunker started in December 2018. It was kind of an ambition of mine to always have my own restaurant, and I suppose it happened a little bit sooner than I thought it would happen. But since we opened in 2018, it's been a roller coaster. We just tried to bring a restaurant to town that was young and friendly and a little bit different. We do our best to produce the best food, but we do it in a real kind of casual, cozy environment, really friendly staff. We don't like it too formal, even though you will get the best service. We don't want it to be, prim and proper and collars up and stuff like that. We want it to just be really casual and relaxed. But we work closely with, local suppliers and stuff to ensure that we're bringing the best local produce to the customers. And it's gone really well for us. I only put a post up yesterday to say that it's just been just over a year now that we've been number one Clonmel and TripAdvisor.
Amazing.
Which I don't think is the be all and end all, but it is just nice to be recognised for that, and it's nice for the staff to know that the hard work they're putting in is part of that as well.
Absolutely.
And then Debunked came about randomly enough. I lived in a house in Clonmel down by Duns, and I was studying to be a musician, and I remember sitting down in the house one day and just thinking music's not really what I want to do anymore, because I'm more of an old school music head and I like 80s, 70s, 60s stuff, and I always wanted to be that kind of musician. And now I see a lot of robotic musicians and things, and then I remember sitting down one day and just really understanding, like, God, I'm in the wrong profession here, I don't think I'd be suited to the lifestyle either. So then I started to reevaluate my life and think, right, what can I do here? And I had a godchild recently born at the time, and I knew there would be no more running away from Clonmel because I would be sticking by her. And I decided, yeah, I'm going to have to think about something and come up with a new path. And a cheesecake shop came into my head. I don't know why. I was looking at some guys' Rebel cheesecakes in Cork, and they were delivering cheesecakes door to door. And I could do that. My mother makes really nice cheesecakes. And then Jamie came down one day, and I was like, right, Jamie, you're a businessman. I was like, you're going to have to teach me how to make a cheesecake shop, And we sat down, and I made a business plan for days and days and days. And going for cycles all the time on my own, just thinking, like, how can I do this? And then Jamie came down and he was like, look, I need some space for a production unit for The Bunker, because I need to kind of bring on more desserts and whatnot. And he wanted to kind of develop his menu a bit more and scale up. And I decided, okay, if we can find somewhere together where I can have my cheesecake shop and you can have your production, we can kind of come up with something, And so we found this place miraculously, and it had a production unit at the back and a shop at the front, and it just seemed to make sense at the time. We were going to be like, right, I'll take the front, you take the back, and we'll move from there. And
50-50.
Yeah, and then over time, everything just kept coming to us, like, why don't we do something with this shop? It looks amazing, there's so much space, and ideas just started flowing then, and Debunked slowly came out of all of that. It's just building and building ever since, really. But it's nice to bring something fresh to Clonmel, something new, something city-esque almost. When you walk in, it doesn't look like an old school shop. It looks like something brand new and kind of almost New Yorky, and people are starting to really cling to that. So
That's a funny thing you say that, because I heard someone compare the other day, what's the difference between a cafe and a coffee shop? And they were debating this, and one of them said, well, I just think like a coffee shop is like a cool hipster place. Like a cafe, is just, there's not going to be any jazz about it, and that was the difference. So like you got your as you said, the kind of New York almost coffee shop. So I love that. But you both have worked in hospitality individually in the past, and as you said, Jamie, you always wanted to start your own business. And I just think that's important for people to hear. Maybe young people, even as us, just came out. anyone who has a dream and kind of thinking about what they're going to do with their future. So can you tell us a little bit about that, about your background and this dream coming to life for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I started in hospitality when I was 15 in Mings, as it's known, but it's called the Emperor Palace. Started there when I was 15 and I used to just work every weekend for years. And it was kind of something that I didn't think I would like to do at the start, but as time went on I realised I actually really enjoyed it and got like a buzz off, like pressure off looking after people, making sure that everyone's having a good time. So kind of figured out fairly fast that that's kind of the path I wanted to go down. So I kind of just stayed working in restaurants first and then went to the hotels. As I broke into hotels, I got an opportunity to go to Tralee IT, which is basically a trainee management program through the hotel. They paid for my college, which I didn't finish, but I nearly finished. I did everything up until the last exam, but just goes to show you don't need to finish exams. But
Exactly.
that was great. That was a really good experience, and I had like a really good time doing that. It was all hands-on experience. And as I said, I went to restaurants then, but I never thought I'd have my own restaurant so soon. And you just mentioned there about like leaving to students, finishing school and stuff like that, and having their dreams and stuff. As I said, I had my dream to open my restaurant. I didn't think I would so fast, but by working really hard, working loads of hours, and working 3 and 4 jobs at a time, and some times, the opportunity was presented to me that a place came available. Now I didn't have all the money I needed to do that, but someone, a good friend of mine, I'm going to throw his name out there because he is a good friend of mine, David Anshel, recognised my hard work, and along with the loan that I went and took out in my own personal name, he just decided to gift me money to get me up off the ground. So for someone who thinks that it's not possible to get something up off the ground as fast as you want or something like that, someone like that just came in along and saw that I was working hard, wanted nothing in return, just wanted to make sure that I was able to do it well and do it the way I wanted. So it's definitely possible if you put your head to it.
That's amazing. That's a lovely story for people to hear. So thank you for sharing that with us. But look, as you can hear, you guys have had so much success. But I can imagine, you guys opened up, Debunked kind of in the middle of a global pandemic and a really difficult time for towns and people worldwide. I'm sure it wasn't without its challenges. So I suppose, what would you say was the biggest challenge of the last 6 months, or how was that experience for you?
There's a lot of challenges, to be honest. A lot. Loads and loads and loads. And I suppose it's hard to put a pin on the biggest challenge, because business in itself is just a challenge. There's always something challenging, but when we started, we're always very ambitious, and we're still very ambitious, but when we started, the world was kind of on the way out of COVID. It was moving in a higher trajectory, so we were thinking, right, let's plan around this, let's build. And then literally opened the doors and people were just flooding in, and there was no there was queues and there was still a certain amount of people left in the shop, but it just went kind of crazy, and it went mad, and people were all really elated and happy anyway, because the world was moving in a good trajectory. And then
We were just out of lockdown.
literally a week into opening the shop, it was like, right, we might be going back into lockdown. Everybody has to wear masks now, there's visors, there's this many people left in your shop, and it just, you could feel the world go from like real sunny, bubbly, happy, we're still in the summer, are all going in the right direction, to just gloom, doom. And it's not just Clonmel, it's everywhere, and everyone's feeling it, but it has thrown a lot of challenges in our direction, and especially being a new business. But Jamie can...
We opened up the shop, I suppose, as Evan said, really ambitious, with loads of plans, but with restrictions in place then, and as we went kind of backwards in the likes of COVID, and I'm not using COVID as an excuse because I don't want to, and I never will. I think anyone that's in business should find a way to get over any challenge that's put to them every day, and that's what business is about. It's about being adaptable, being entrepreneurial, and coming up with new ways to get around the challenges we meet. But we did find a challenge that people are coming into the shop at lunchtime and they only have a certain amount of time for a lunch. So if we can only fit so many people in at lunchtime, we can only do so much. So that was one of the biggest things for us. So we noticed that people weren't willing to come and queue anymore because they knew they mightn't get their lunch or they mightn't get into the shop. Like, we actually had people standing in the queue outside that didn't get a lunch some days because the queue was so big. And we understand that that's frustrating for people, and they understand that we understand, but there was nothing we could do at the start. But we are in the middle of, we're just on Monday coming, we're launching our click and collect app. So you'll be able to log onto your phone, type in what you want, pay for it, and it'll be ready when you come into the shop to collect. So you don't even have to queue. there'll probably be someone here manning it that will bring the food out to the car as well because it will already be paid for it. But I suppose that was one of the biggest things for us, is just kind of adapting to that and realising that how fast business went from one extreme to the other. And there was a knock-on effect from that. We opened up the shop with loads of staff, and we had really good plans to make sure that everyone had those wares, but as business took a downturn, we actually had to reduce hours and stuff, and unfortunately we have lost staff over that, and it's something that we're not happy about, and it's something that we can see the opposite happening come Monday when we launch the Click and Collect app, that we're going to have to bring on more staff again. But it's just, we have to adapt every day as the business, I suppose, changes and as the things come in. But back to the question, I suppose COVID had one of the biggest impacts and led to the most challenges, but in day-to-day business I think you're just met with challenges every single day. You have to be constantly evolving, changing, giving people what they want, following the trends and stuff like that, and you have to make sure that you're doing it in a way that the customer feels valued. And to us, well, to the two of us, definitely every single customer that comes through that door is valued, because if we don't have them coming through the door, we don't have this place and we don't have the staff that we look after and stuff like that. So
We also, I've noticed big time everywhere, but the masks and the visors, they really harm customer service. There's a real lack of intimacy at times, and there's also a communication error. Like, I mean, you have people leaning on like, hello, you know, shouting, and it's you can see it kind of harms people, you know, but people are getting used to it, and we're still creating a really positive vibe in here, and it's still very fresh. It's only a couple of months in, but the core staff, you can really see it starting to build now, and you can see the repeat customer coming in. They know their names, they have the kind of same kind of conversations every day, and it's really nice. It's starting to take form as to what we wanted it to be.
even though we don't know fully what we want it to be yet.
No,
We're literally finding our feet every day with like what works and what doesn't work. And
we sit down, like honestly, most days we're in here in the morning early and we don't leave till late at night, and every day there's a new idea. Like, you know, you're always changing. I've definitely realised, I'm new to this whole business game, but I've definitely realised that modern business is so fast paced now. Everybody's on the internet looking at new things every day. Like, oh, America has this now, and you just kind of have to adapt to that because people expect these things quickly. You know, it's not like 10 or 15 years ago when you open up a restaurant or a deli and it just kind of stays static, and that's what they do. It's just, right, you got to keep changing to what people want, you know. So we do have a lot of ideas, and we do have a lot of, we're kind of broadening our options from Monday onwards now. So we're going to have a lot of healthy food, which is something that I've and Jamie have thought about from the beginning anyway, but it's just logistics.
no, that's something I didn't think about. When I opened up this place, and when Evan opened up this place, we were like 30 chicken filet rolls, breakfast rolls, steak sandwiches, donuts, and all that.
Stuff.
And then we realised that we're not catering for the healthy people, the health conscious people, the people that want to have a good clean meal on the go and stuff like that. And that's what we've literally started doing this week now, and with the Phoenix and stuff. We've had Colin and Paddy up from there, and they've given us some meals that have like macros and micros on it. So you're able to come in and grab a meal that you know is within your limits for the day. It's giving you all your nutrition and stuff. And
It's good for us as
it's
well.
good for us.
Actually, all we've done is eating donuts and bread, and like, you know, before I opened up this place, I was real, I wouldn't say crazy health conscious, but I did like eating my health meals 2 or 3 times a day, and just opened up this place and like breakfast roll in the morning, donut for lunch, donut for breakfast sometimes, like, you know, because we have a baker at the back, Susan, and she's a wizard out there, like, she's amazing. And she just comes in 7 o'clock in the morning, she's like, you have to try these things, and this is a big tray of new treats and new delicious things that we have to put into our stomachs, you know. And
It tastes like, so you have to make sure, like, you know.
I've bloated up extremely.
We might take someone on as a taster just so we don't have to do it maybe or something.
Take that pressure. Take that pressure
Take the
away.
pressure off my friends.
But listen, you mentioned, you touched there on your staff, and as you said, look, I know it's been a difficult time. It's difficult for anyone to kind of have to put hours, let people go, but the staff that you do have working here are so happy and positive, and they seem to really love it here, you know. And what I found really interesting during, you know, kind of when you guys were opening up on social media, when you were recruiting, you know, 2 things. So that you accepted video applications, which I thought was a lovely, you know, idea, because everyone was kind of stuck at home, and it gives people a chance to get their personality across, not just a CV piece of paper. And then also I loved that you put out there, like, don't be afraid to not apply if you don't have absolutely every skill. We're happy to train people in and kind of upskill people. And I thought that was a really great message to say, you know, apply anyway. So what was that kind of thought process for you guys, both in the video application and in that kind of like, look, we want applications from all different kinds of people, we're happy to train you in?
That's a really good question. it was a strange time to be opening up business. So it was like a month, into COVID, and we knew that we might not get a chance to meet anybody because we didn't know if we could have meetings. So that kind of sparked interest. But we always had thought about doing video applications in general because we didn't really like thinking back on my previous interviews of trying to impress somebody I don't know with a piece of paper and knowing that there's 10 or 15 other pieces of paper going in with it, and it's like, how do I jump off a page, without having a picture of myself, And so then that came about, and we did a lot of cycling. We need to get back to it, but we did a lot of cycling prior to opening, and we used to cycle down the Blue Way along the river and just chat, and just constantly look at each other, like, how do we develop here, what kind of ideas are coming, and that came out of our heads, some cycling down the river, and it's like, right, how do we get people to do that? And we sat in the park. We were worried we might not get enough people to video themselves to even get a full team, and then I think it just kind of became a trend almost for a week in Clonmel where more people were chatting, like, I went for it, and I even had like one of the guys that works here now, I won't mention his name, but he needed inspiration, like he was too worried to go for the job, and he's amazing at what he does anyway, but he was afraid basically, and one of his friends had to write to us and be like, look, I'm trying to get this guy to do a video, and we had a lot of those people, like a lot of people were afraid, but they went for it, and it really did help us. It gave us a massive inclination into who we were bringing into the room before the interview began, But a lot of, we didn't really even look at many CVs, to be honest. A lot of people brought in CVs, but there was no need, obviously, we can browse back over, but no, it was a really nice process, and I think that I would definitely encourage other people to go about that process
more personal
applications, because it was fun as well.
I can imagine. And then in terms of encouraging people from all different kind of, I suppose, skill levels to apply, what was your kind of thought process behind that, Jamie?
I suppose just from everyday experience in life, we know that, so firstly it's hard to teach a dog new tricks sometimes, so sometimes you're better off to get someone in with a blank canvas and train them the way you want, which is something that we are working hard to do, is train the staff to the way we want, but like they kind of see and they know already from being in around the shop what we want and what we're looking for in the staff, and the kind of atmosphere, the vibe we want to create in the shop. But in general, there's no reason, and there's people that we talk on with no experience that have absolutely shunned, they've really taken to their roads and they're really blowing us away.
There's two people down working on the shop front right now together, and when they came in, they didn't really have any experience at all. They're making really nice barista coffee, and they're making deli food, and they didn't have any deli experience essentially, or coffee experience, and we are sitting up here trusting them to do that,
Same on Tuesday.
Absolutely, we had our first day off on Tuesday together in 2.5 months or so. It was amazing, it was so good. We went out to the Powerscourt Hotel in Wicklow, and really got a really good deal on it. I would suggest anybody to go there. I think it was €240 for a double room, and it was like a suite with
2 beds. Just in case anyone's getting any ideas.
You looked like a very romantic trip for two of us.
It was a very romantic trip.
The big massive sauna and steam room things down below the hotel gardens, and there's a huge, the third biggest garden in the world for a hotel. You can cycle around on high nellies for the whole day.
Yeah.
It was very Hogwarts-esque at times. There was people with top hats, and there was a Dutch woman, Mika, I think her name was, and we were sitting there looking at her, and she was telling us where to go on the bike, and it was just
is this real?
It was like being in where the bank in Harry Potter, the first one, where not that she looked like a elf or anything, but it was just the way she spoke,
Yeah.
It was a very strange experience. It was my first time ever being in a 5-star hotel, and me and Jamie were sitting for dinner, and I was putting my fork all over the place, when I was eating, and I was sitting there, and he's like, messing this guy's experience up now. What do you mean? He's like, forks. You have to put them in the right place. He's teaching me.
Before that training, I was learning how to serve tables, and Evan had used the wrong company for the wrong things, and your man was coming over to serve, and he was like, what's going on?
Making his job difficult.
I've never been nervous to eat food before, but there was a nervous aspect to it.
Well, I was going to ask you about that. I mean, it's been crazy busy for you guys, on the back of your success, but as you said, that was your first time off in 2 months, and so I assume you don't get a lot of downtime. But how do you guys kind of look after yourselves day to day and kind of recuperate when you get a chance to make sure you have this energy to keep this amazing show running?
I'm going to leave Evan kick that off in a second, but I'm just going to rewind it small a little bit and just say on your success, because something I do want to, I suppose, get out in this podcast is that we have not made it anyway successful yet. We're literally every day trying to make sure that the shop is run properly, efficiently, and as we said, it's been such a learning curve, the ups, the downs, and stuff like that. For Evan in his first business, it's been just mental. Like, it's been nothing like opening the bunker, because I suppose that's what I always knew, restaurants and stuff like that. And I realised very fast that a deli isn't a restaurant and that it can't be run the same way. And our team are realising that as well. Like, we have some of the same chefs and stuff, but for Evan, it's been a brand new experience, and it has really been. We were going to the beach one day, it was like 8 o'clock on a Sunday evening, and we had just left. We were just trying to get down and catch a bit of sun before the sunset, and we were driving down the road, and everyone was like, I got a really good feeling now, things are starting to go good and stuff like that. And I just looked at him and I was like, tomorrow's a new day. And literally next day, like, we came in and it was just all bad news, loads of bad stuff. So I wouldn't say we're a success. I don't know if we'll ever, call ourselves a success, because every day in business is a new day, a new challenge and stuff like that. And yeah, we have good stuff going on and stuff like that, but we're always going to be working hard to try and make sure that things are going smoothly. And I suppose sometimes from the outside in it can look like we're swanning around in our same shirts and whatever, but there's a lot that goes into it. As Evan said, we're in here stupid o'clock. We were in here at 5 o'clock this morning. You're out here at 10 or 11 o'clock tonight.
Yeah.
It's just the joys of it. But no, I just wanted to let people know that we know that it's not a success. We don't ever sit back and think we've made it or anything like that, because every day we're thinking to how to reinvent the wheel and how to, I suppose, take it to the next level. But
Absolutely.
Evan can tell you about how we chill out.
I can follow up on that as well, because it looks rosy for people on the outside, because we're very positive no matter what. Like, I could be just most stressed possible inside my head, but the vision is always there and it will make it there, and we know that. But it's not just a quick wake up every day and it just gets there. It's wake up every day and work for 15 hours and burn yourself into the ground to try and make this place rise to where you want it to be. And we have a really, really strong team that are helping us to do that. But right now, in the middle of everything, it's just a really, really tough time. And I learned that the hard way really, really fast, In my head, I'm just like, I would say naive, yeah. And luckily I have the right people with me to keep me in the right direction, but it's a really, really hard time when you open up a business in general, because you just don't know where it's going to go. And this game is fast. It's really, really fast. You're dealing with a lot of people coming in and out of your shop all the time, and you're dealing with a lot of stock coming in and out of your shop. It's nuts. And Jamie will tell you, like, the first couple of weeks, I was not me. Like, to anybody that saw me, I was Evan, but on the inside, when I came to the office, they had people coming up hugging me, like, you'll be grand, you'll be fine, everything's fine. Like, I don't think I shed a tear, but it's just, like, I can't describe how rapid my brain moves in that sense, and I'm sure
everyone don't switch off for a bit anymore.
Like, there's a funny story actually, and one of the girls can laugh about it for the rest of her life, but the first couple of weeks, like, I just lived and breathed this place, and I still do, but it was just like, go home at stupid o'clock and then go to sleep for 5 hours and dream about the place, and get back up and then go to the place and go back home and dream about it and get back up, and it's just on repeat. And like, my parents would wake me up on the couch at 10 o'clock and like, go to bed, like, it was madness. But one of the days I was up late enough, and I had a couple of drinks with Jamie, and I went home to my parents' house and I went to sleep, and then I woke up at whatever time, and I walked out into the hallway, and I had a fake notice board in my hand that wasn't real, and I opened up the closet and I was asleep, like, but I was shouting, I was like, Eva! Shouting, and my man would wake me up and basically tell me to go to bed, like, but I don't know, it was madness. I remember seeing her and everything, like, but that was the kind of tempo that my brain was moving at, and I said it to a couple of people, like, I've genuinely sat in my room dying, and it was easier than starting a business. It was just insane. But yeah, how do we find downtime moving on from that? To be honest, it's a good question, because I'm still trying to find it myself, the answer. But
we work harder when we know we're going to get downtime, in the sense, like, we were taking Tuesday off as our first day off together. We smashed Monday, like, we had so much to do Monday to make sure Tuesday was blocked off. And Evan had a big list of stuff we wrote down of what to do for all the staff. If this went wrong, if that went wrong, if the fire alarm went off, and all this stuff. These notes, and as you open the drawer, there was a note in the drawer to say what to do with this thing, and this is where you put this and stuff like that. But just making sure everything was covered. And I went through the same at the bunker. Like I remember when I first left the bunker, it was like this big worry that everything's going to go wrong. It does seem to be the case that when you do go away, things do go wrong, but they're not usually linked. So maybe I don't know. We just kind of worked out a little bit harder to try and find time to switch off. And a lot of the time we do switch off together, it is together. Like we go off and do things together. Maybe just go to the beach for an hour, up to the Paris Court the other day or whatever. But
people reference it as a bromance a lot, and to be honest, it is to a certain extent. To a certain extent, we did speak about it the other day in the hotel. Like, are we in a relationship? Like, you know,
no, genuinely,
not in a sexual way, but like,
yeah.
are we in a relationship? You know, should we move into a house together and just be in a relationship until this is where it needs to be? You know, and I would say to people that I know on the outside it looks like that, but the reason that we spend so much time outside of work together as well is because we have to use that time so efficiently. And like, even when we were in the hotel the other day, we didn't go just to be in a hotel. We went whiteboards and questions, a full notepad full of questions that we had to sit down and answer on our downtime, because that was the only time we got to really be away from everything and start using our vision again, you know. But downtime for me in general is usually an hour at the end of the day where I just sit down in bed really and just reflect on things and stare at my tapestry and just try and bring myself back out of my mind. And then Wednesday is my family day where I got to go see my godchild, and that's 2 hours where it really does take me out of everything, you know. But you get better at it, I guess. Jamie will tell you a bit more about that because he's kind of more experienced, I guess.
more experience in
It's
downtime.
downtime.
No.
Thanks.
But in
Yeah, my downtime in evenings I go to the bunker at work. But as Evan said, we do things like that, family time, evenings off or whatever. You just walk up and down to the beach, try and get a massage in now and again as well if we can, even if it is literally like we have a meeting here now, finish the meeting, straight to massage and
right across the road as well.
Right across the road, yeah.
I'd never had a Thai massage before. Jamie rang me outside. I remember sending out the first 3 weeks, like just
People
I was basically just floating around like everything's done. And Jamie rang me from the bunk one day. He's like, "What are you doing at 4 o'clock?" I was like, "Busy, man." He's like, "Go across the road." The massage booked in at 4, and I was really nervous, to be honest. Like, I'm not that I'm a nervous person, but I would really at the time I would have been like, I'm not really into random intimacy, like, you know, just some random woman just like standing on me and stuff.
What they do, they stand on your back.
Yeah.
and
I was nervous.
Class.
I was nervous. The first time I really couldn't let it come out of my shed. I was just like sitting here just getting
And then you rang me the next week
around.
and we were booked in.
You know, like,
Nice couples massage.
it's become a weekly thing now at this point. I would suggest to anybody that's ever feeling stressed, like, that's the perfect way to escape your brain for an hour.
Yeah, and I went over there one day and I was like getting ready for my massage, and I almost felt guilty that I was having a massage, like, and I was like, who do I think I am going in here getting a massage like on a Tuesday at 3 o'clock, whatever? And I was like, no, you're working your arse off 16-hour days some days. I was like, this is literally the only hour, and you might be getting a massage, but you're on that table and all you're thinking about is what's going on in the shop, what can I do, what's going on in the restaurant. So even at that, your downtime isn't fully downtime. That's what you sign up to. This isn't a job or a career, this is a life, like, it's a lifestyle. Yeah, love it, I hate it.
But it's funny, like, as stressful as it is, and as some days, like, it's just 16 hours of stress, and you go to bed and you know you have 4 hours sleep, but I don't know, there's just something that wakes you up, and it's like, oh, I can't wait to get in there now, you know? And it's like, I don't know, how do I can't really compare to anything, but do you remember Theme Park World?
Yeah.
Some of it's like that, I swear. Some of it is like that, man. You're constructing, you're like, right, how do I make these customers happy when they walk in? Like, you know, and you're constantly,
Scenarios in your head.
your brain, like, Jenny laugh about it a lot, like, because I'll be talking to him and my eyes will just be going, like, just all over the place, and he knows what's going on because I see it in him as well. Like, but we'll be having a conversation together and also be like constructing all these ideas at the same time. And he'd be like, "What were you thinking right there?" And I'm like, "Don't worry, I'll write it down. I'll add it to the list of never-ending lists." But it's funny.
Amazing. So you're working on self-care routine. You'll get there, but
We follow each other around with the things we're rubbing under our eyes and stuff to stop the wrinkles.
We have a health pack, like, you know, they got like eye spray, eye roller, cream, sprays, everything, and it's just like, right, you look, it's great, give it a little rub, that's some cream, you'll be fine, everything's fine. I think I might start balding as well. I've been chatting about that now. I knew I would probably want to do it anyway, but it's starting to go back quicker and quicker, and I'm worried that people are going to be like, he's just copying Jamie now. Like, he's just walking around
This
with
one
bald.
look more like.
It's starting to happen.
But yeah, so Jamie, I think it's really interesting that you touched on, you know, the perception that people might have that, you know, the business is going so well and that you don't want people to think that you've just sat back. And I just want to say, you know, for me, the fact that you guys have set up the business and are doing something you love is success to me. So I you know, well done. And I think you have to like credit where credit's due in that sense. And I think people, I do think people obviously know that you're working really hard, and you know what you put out on social media is always so positive. But people really love that, you know, and I think it's something people follow you for. Social media has been brilliant for you guys, and I want to kind of ask, was that, I suppose, did you kind of get an Instagram for the bunker originally just because, you know, every other business has an Instagram, I'll get one, or did you kind of have a strategic plan that I want everything to kind of live on this platform and that's how I'm going to kind of get my business going?
Yeah, it was kind of something that I suppose as a training manager in hotels and restaurants, I took on upon myself to go and set up for hotels and restaurants that I worked in, and we were able to literally record some of the stuff that's happening, like that you can see that it's coming through based on what you posted and stuff. So I knew that it worked and it's free and it reaches a massive audience, so it was something that I always had kind of included as a massive part of a business plan for the bunker starting off and Debunked as well.
The takeaway really kind of lifted it off. We went during COVID, Jamie, it was funny, the restaurant had to close down and it was kind of closed, but we don't know how long this is going to take, and me and Jamie were looking at each other and we were in the middle of constructing Debunked anyway, or at least ideas, and we're like, right, we'll take 2 weeks and we'll have a nice time, you know, and I don't know, was it 2 hours later or maybe 2 days or something, and Jamie rang me, he's like, we're going to open up for takeaway. It's just like, when you're used to being really busy, it's so unusual.
You just don't enjoy
It's
it.
very unusual, and you just want to get back into it, as weird as it sounds. But yeah, Jamie opened up the bunker for takeaway during COVID, and it was just a massive success. It really was. It was a great success story, and kudos to him because it was a great idea, and kudos to all the staff because they made it happen. And
social media is one of the biggest things that made it happen. Like, it was a matter of me sitting home on a Sunday night going to the audience, would you be interested in a takeaway? They said yes. We just gave them a takeaway, and it just fed from there. And everything was done through social media, bar phone orders coming in, it was all done through social media, and it just literally, like, it's the reason we're still open that we got to do that. It really is the reason we're still open.
And I have to say, you know, so I was locked down in Dublin at the time, and you know, seeing you guys do the takeaway from the bunker and seeing the support you got actually like so emotional, like, because I'm so far away from home, missing home, and I just thought like, wow, this was so amazing. Everyone was behind you, and everyone was like getting such joy from coming in and getting it, like the takeaway, something they're really looking forward to, you know.
there was people coming from all over the place. Like, at the time, it was
Through lockdown.
It was 2K at the time, like, you
Yeah.
know, and there was people coming from Fermoy and Waterford and things, and people sitting in the car park for a few hours, and they were just like, I'm just getting away from the wife for a couple of hours now, I'm waiting for my takeaway.
That's literally some of the stuff we
It
made.
was so fun, like, you know, and we really did enjoy it, every bit of that, and it was a funny one, like, but that was kind of where the presence came around for the social media between the two of us. We had a lot of fun with the takeaway. We had a lot of we had a good platform to have fun, because it was stressful, but it was kind of relaxing in a stressful way.
Yeah.
So we were doing a lot of running around and just capturing videos in the middle of it all, and it was just really, really good. Yeah, so that kind of rolled on from there, and even now we're still kind of not developing our social media presence with Debunk, but we're always trying to think like, how do we kind of emulate that, you know, because there's a really busy atmosphere down below, and it's sometimes
That's
we're
the
making a
thing.
video and all you hear is in the background and someone's making a coffee. And
That's the thing about social media, like, it's great to have it, but the minute you stop using it, it actually has a negative effect, because if people don't see you active on it and they don't see posts come up, they could actually think you're closed or you're not open, or, you know, you're not doing as well or whatever. And in the day-to-day busy life that it is running the business, it's really hard to constantly put up good content and stuff like that.
Yeah.
especially if you're stressed.
But yesterday we came back from the hotel on Wednesday. Yesterday we had a good clear head and we had a good day on social media, and as I said, the shop was literally jammed all day yesterday, with social distancing and 9 people at that time, but it was jammed.
Not
all
too
day.
jammed.
Not too jammed, yeah.
That's funny actually. At one point, Brian Dowling, really good photographer. He does a lot of weddings and videos, but he did a video for us and we loved it. It was really, really fun. But on the day he was doing the video, it was quiet enough, you know, and he'd come and we'd forgotten that he was even coming. And because I told him to come in on Thursday at 11 o'clock, we'd be fine, and then just my brain started going 1,000 miles an hour again, and I grabbed at Brian, and we were having a meeting in the office, and it was really important. It was like, oh, we've got a really big day ahead of us, and then Martin's one of the boys down below came up, he's like, Brian Dowden's here for a video, and I was just like, Jamie, I'm not prepared for this, you know. So it was just straight back, put on a game face, jumped out, and he came, and that went really well. But at one point, I think it was like 11:30 or so, and it was quiet down the shop. He was down videoing, and I was just walking out, and I was like, God damn it! I was like, where are the customers? Like, make them come in, you know. So I went walking to the bank because I had to get some coins, and I remember like fingers crossing all the way out to the bank. Like, please, I'm gonna come back now. So it's really good, you know. And then I came back and there was 20 people running into the shop, and I was like, Jesus Christ, over this! And I was like running around, Brian's in here sneaking around in the corner taking a video, and I was like, trying to hunt people out of the shop. It was so funny. It's a really funny time to be in business because you can imagine opening up a shop like that in well, I was gonna say in the 90s, but like 2 years ago, you know, you could have 40 people like standing a bunch together having a chat in the shop, running around in a weird semicircle. But now it's like, you know, if there's that many people there down at the main garden, you're trying to negate them in. It's a weird one, but that was a funny day. I don't know where that came from.
we enjoyed it.
I went for social media.
But during, you know, as you said, you really kind of utilised social media during kind of lockdown. I feel like we're talking about lockdown a lot, I'm sorry. But something I really loved was that you were really supportive of other businesses in Clonmel at the time, and I just thought, you know, that was amazing, and there seems to be such a like camaraderie between yourselves and other kind of local businesses. Do you think that's something that's important and that will help Clonmel grow as a town?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think it's the only way Clonmel will grow as a town. If it's a matter of every business out there for themselves, it becomes very like me, and no one cares about what's going on bar inside their own thing. Even the Apple Fest this year was an example of it. Like, we had great ideas to have a street fest and have all the restaurants and stuff come together. Unfortunately, that can't happen, but like, even just trying to get that up off the ground was a struggle. Like, trying to get people to commit to doing something like that. Whereas you go to Kilkenny or Cashel, which is places that we all get in our car and drive to for food. And we'll get out of Clonmel to go to a destination like Dungarvan or Cork or Kilkenny, because there's that sense of all the options, and it's a destination as opposed to just one restaurant you're going to or whatever. So if like we can change the mindsets of people in Clonmel and get everyone together to try and make the town better as a whole, we can make Clonmel a destination, and we can use food, which I think is one of the biggest things we have here in Clonmel. Food, we have like loads of stuff that we can bring to the table, but we can get Clonmel as a destination, pull people in as opposed to leave people off out of the county every day to go and find the next best place to go and have food or whatever.
It's not just that we can, we will, and we know we will. And we're always talking about, you know, we will make this town an absolute gold mine. You know, we want everybody to kind of follow, not our lead, but just be influenced, I guess, and support each other, because it's such a potential in this town, and even around it there's so many beautiful walks and look really, really cool historic scenes and whatnot, just all over the place. And you have the Blue Way, and you have a lot of things, and I think that if people just tweak their businesses a little bit and move kind of forward in the future, I guess then it will change. Something I can speak to everybody about, and I hope loads of business owners are watching this, because if you look from the main garage on O'Connell Street the whole way down to the church here on Gladstone Street, there's nothing but bland, crispy paint on the top of the buildings, and it's just bland. You're driving through it and there's nothing sparking your eye at all. It's just like drive, and then there's nothing getting there. And I'm saying it to all business owners, and I have been, like, if you just paint your shop in a bright colour the whole way up, like ours is, like, I know it's a toffee brown, but it's a really nice, like, well painted colour, and I think if every building had that all the way along, if you drove through that, you'd be so happy to see these colours, like, whoa, look how bright this is, you know, like Kilkenny with the umbrellas and whatnot. And I think that alone, it's just paint, doesn't cost that much money or effort, and I think that alone would draft people in, because they're like, whoa, look at that colourful street, like, I'll go take a picture of it, put it on Instagram, get my likes and stuff, you know.
And back to like supporting businesses and stuff like that, when I opened a restaurant, I tried to have as many local suppliers as I could at the start, and it proved a little bit difficult if you wanted to make money, essentially. Like, you know, you have to, obviously you can only support people if it makes commercial sense, I suppose, for you to buy their product and sell it and still make a little bit of money on it to pay your bills. But at the start, I had that intention and I had it to like every degree, and I realised it wasn't fully possible. But we reached out to some local suppliers and then other bigger suppliers, and it was kind of a mixture of both for a long time. But as things are getting better, and as I feel like the support from Clonmel is becoming better and we're getting busier in the restaurant, I'm now able to, instead of bringing Atlantis for my fruit, my fish, I'm able to go down to Caius and spend that little bit more money on the product, but I have a better quality product. I have it fresh, literally from a few doors down the road. The same with the butcher, like the meat is more expensive than I can buy it, but it's better quality and it's keeping them in a job. And like, it's just, the more local businesses we support and the more local businesses support us, it's easier to attain it all in Clonmel as opposed to reaching out of Clonmel to bring people in that don't care about Clonmel. Like, they're literally driving through in a truck, dropping stuff off and driving out. They don't care at all about Clonmel in any sense, but the local producers and the local suppliers that we can support. And that's why even here with the restaurant, we have the Gourmet Butcher, we have Kevin, we have the Paul Tobin's Butchers. I said the name, but Paul Tobin's Butcher is up the road for the Bunt, and it's just about spreading the business around. Like, there's no point in just putting it all into one place either. And we know that as well. We expect people to come into us some days, but not every day.
Yeah.
There's other businesses that need support as well, and we go and support them ourselves. So yeah, no, it's just the more local support that people give to the town, the easier it is for the town to grow, and the easier it is for people to stay in the town without having to go out of town to find a job or to find that dream career or pursue different things. And don't get me wrong, I know you're in Dublin and I know you wanted to be in Dublin. There's nothing wrong with that, but like, some people feel they have to get out of Clonmel to find their opportunities, and they shouldn't feel like that, I don't think.
No, and you're absolutely right. I mean, I'll be honest with you, that how I ended up moving to Dublin was like, in my mindset was like, if I'm going to get a job, that's where I have to go, and that's where I came from. And as the years go on, I'm like, I want to come back, and it's kind of that feeling of, when will I get to it, how will I get there? So the clogs are always turning about how to go back to Clonmel.
There is a lot of, as I say, potential, and moving on from what Jamie was saying there, you know, we already started now, and we have this deli that has a city-esque vibe to it. We have a restaurant that does bottomless prosecco on the weekend. There is city elements now, you know. Not that I want Clonmel to be the giant juggernaut of a city, but it needs to spark the life into it. It needs some city elements, and I think one thing it's valuably missing is the college not expanding, you know. And I know there is plans for the college to expand into the army barracks or something like that, but if this town had a really expensive college that lots of people wanted to come and study here, and it had student accommodation, and you had a nice hotel in the middle of it, then I think just more and more things will pop in, you know, and that's how it works. But obviously that won't happen tomorrow, but I really do see it happening, and not straight away, but I do see all of that coming eventually. It'd be nice.
That's great. You guys have such a vision for not only your own businesses but for the town. I think everyone really sees it and appreciates that. But if you go back, so if you cast your mind back to like 5 years ago, and I had asked you where you thought you'd be today, what do you think you would have said?
That's a fantastic question. I was trying to think about 5 years ago now. I've had a lot of things happen to me over the last 5 years that changed my course and changed my direction. I think if it was 5 years ago, I would have said to you that I will be working across the waters in some form of care kind of role, but I would have been on the verge of becoming a famous musician of some sort and changing the world in that direction. I always had a very big passion for change, and I used to use music as a platform. I've written many, many songs, and I will get back to it eventually, to be honest. I do. It's one of my biggest passions, but yeah, it would have been a social care worker musician in India, maybe, or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
What about you?
I'd have probably thought I would have been hopefully just about at the stage to open my first restaurant. But yeah, as I said earlier, that happened a little bit faster than planned. But that was my dream since I started in the industry, and it was to have that. And I suppose then from one, take it a bit further and have a couple. But luckily I'm into my second place now, and still plans on the horizon. But yeah, no, it's.
And then if you're to look ahead, do you guys, what are your kind of hopes and plans for the future, or are you kind of taking it day by day at the moment and taking each day as it comes?
Definitely taking each day as it comes.
We're very, we do have expansive minds, but right now given everything that's going on, it's just
Right,
we want to keep these places open and want to make sure that they're moving in the right direction, I guess, and making sure that they become, I wouldn't say perfect, but I would like this place to be really, really smooth before I can leave my brain even leave the walls, you know. I dream about this place and I go home and that's all I dream about really at the moment, but we'll see how the future runs when we get these places tight.
Well, look, we wish you all the very best of luck, and I know everyone at Clonmel is behind you and rooting for you, so best of luck with it.
Thanks very much, and thanks for having us. And thanks to some of that.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for all tuning in to Wild Bit of Food for Applefest 2020.